In the land of white skies and rolling green, nestled between steep hills that seemed to hum with secrets, there was a village called Zondora. It wasn't marked on maps, nor was it mentioned in traveler songs, but those who were born there knew it was special. The hills whispered. And not just with the wind. In Zondora, every child grew up on stories, not bedtime ones, but legends. The kind you whispered with a candle lit and the door shut tight. Tales of ill spirits, cursed ancestors, and sacred stones hidden in plain sight. Most children outgrew the tales. But not Nola. Nola had a spark in her. Not just the kind that danced in her eyes when she was curious, though, trust me, those eyes could burn holes in stone, but the kind that drew people in. She ran barefoot through the grass, sang with the birds, and knew the name of every tree that shaded her village. Her mother, Mary, was a healer, and a good one. People came to her with fevers, aches, broken hearts, and left with poultices, advice, or, when necessary, a scolding. She was wise, serious, and always watching. Especially when it came to Nola. "You have your father's spirit and my stubbornness," she often said, grinding herbs with a stone mortar. Which means trouble is never far behind. Nola would just grin. Or adventure. The dreams begin. It started around the time of the red moon, when the sky blushed at night and animals grew restless. Nola began to dream. In her sleep, she heard a voice, soft and whispery, like leaves rustling just beyond the window. It would call her name gently, not like a shout, but like a song half remembered. "Nola, come." The voice always came from the hills. And every time she followed it in the dream, the path would twist strangely, and a fog would rise until she woke in a sweat, heart racing. She told her mother. Once. Mary pursed her lips and muttered something in a language older than rain. Then she handed Nola a beaded bracelet. "Wear this. No more wandering near the high hills. Promise me." Of course, Nola promised. And of course, she didn't entirely keep it. The mist in the trees. One evening, just before dusk, Nola was sent to gather riverberry root, a rare herb that only bloomed near the shadowed stream that cut along the hill's edge. Basket on her back, she hummed as she walked, the orange light of sunset painting the trees gold. The deeper she went, the quieter it became. No birds. No wind. Just stillness. That's when she saw it. A glow, soft and silver, began to pulse between the trees ahead. At first, she thought it was fireflies. But it grew, slowly forming a shape. A girl. The figure stood still, not quite touching the ground, her hair floating around her like water, her arms outstretched. Her face, though hazy, looked familiar. Nola froze, basket slipping from her fingers. Who are you?" she whispered. The figure tilted her head. She didn't speak. But she raised one hand, slowly pointing, not at Nola, but behind her. Nola turned quickly, but saw nothing. And when she looked back, the girl was gone. Only mist remained. And the faint scent of riverberries. Whispers and warnings. Back in the village, Nola tried to explain. "I saw her," she told the elder, old Chona, as they sat under the baobab tree. "She wasn't a dream. She was real." Chona gave her a look like someone trying to decide whether to hug her or knock some sense into her. "The hills play tricks," Chona said, puffing her pipe. "They whisper. They call. It doesn't mean you have to answer." Mary was less gentle. "No more wandering," she said, firmly placing protective chalk marks on their door. "You are to go nowhere near the hills without me. Do you understand?" Nola didn't answer. Because something deep inside her had changed. The voice in her dreams grew stronger. The image of the girl, the misty double, etched itself into her mind. There was something there, beyond those trees. A secret tied to her very bones. And Nola, curious, restless, and unshakably stubborn, was not about to let a mystery go unsolved. The morning after Nola saw the glowing girl, everything felt sharper. The wind was colder, the sun hotter, the earth under her feet trembled like it held a secret it was dying to spill. And then, the signs began. Saved by shadows. It started with the mango tree. Nola had just bent to pick a fallen fruit when she heard a snap above her, loud, like a bone cracking. She jumped back instinctively, and whoosh, a thick branch crashed down, exactly where she'd been standing. Too close. Way too close. She stood frozen, her heart hammering. Then, she noticed something odd. In the dirt beside her was a perfect, swirling spiral, traced like a finger had drawn it. She shook it off. Coincidence, she thought. Until it happened again. The snake pit. A few days later, Nola went searching for wild lemongrass. As she stepped through a patch of reeds, something hissed sharply. She stumbled back just in time to see a coiled black snake, venom glinting on its fangs, mere inches from her ankle. But she hadn't seen it. She had heard a whisper, not a hiss, just before she stepped. Her blood ran cold. And this time, she didn't shake it off. Returned to the hills. The next evening, with the moon hanging low and fat in the sky like a golden drum, Nola did what every folktale heroine does right before things get really complicated. She snuck out. She followed the narrow path toward the hills, her bracelet of beads clicking nervously against her wrist. The trees stood tall, watching. And as she climbed the slope past the stream, mist began to gather again. It swirled and danced like it was alive. And then, there she was. The girl from the mist. Clearer this time. Her skin shimmered like polished stone, her hair floated like it had never known weight, and her eyes, oh stars above, were exactly like Nola's. Brown, flecked with amber. Wide. Knowing. They stood facing each other, one made of flesh and heartbeat, the other of mist and memory. The warning. Who are you? Nola breathed. The spirit smiled, sad and warm, like someone remembering something too painful to forget. I am your mirror, she said. Your shadow beneath the sun. Your name, twisted on the wind. Speak plainly, Nola demanded, though her voice shook. What do you want from me? I want nothing, the spirit replied. But you must know, danger walks among you now. A face with honey words and snake intentions. And you and I, we are tied by blood, Nola. Nola took a step back. Blood? What do you mean? But the mist was already thickening again, the spirit's shape blurring. Trust your eyes, the voice whispered. But trust your bones more. Then, gone. Nola stood in silence, the hills breathing softly around her. The stranger called Limo. The next morning, the village square was buzzing. A new trader had arrived, young, handsome, smooth-tongued. His name was Limo, and he came with a donkey full of goods and a green full of promises. He gave away spices, just for a smile. Told stories that made the old women blush and the young girls swoon. Nola watched him from the edge of the crowd, something twisting in her gut. His smile never quite reached his eyes. When he caught her watching, he winked. But she felt no butterflies. Only a chill. Mary's fury. That night, Nola confessed everything to her mother. The snake pit. The falling tree. The spirit girl. The warning. Mary paled. You went back, she whispered, her voice low and tight. You saw the spirit. She's not evil, Nola said quickly. She has my eyes. She said we're tied by blood. Mary slammed her pestle into the mortar so hard that dried roots flew into the air. Listen to me, child, she snapped. The hills are not kind. They do not give without taking. Whatever spirit you saw, whatever lies it whispered, it means you harm. You are never to go back. Never. Nola stared at her mother, wide-eyed. Why are you afraid of her? I'm afraid of what she'll take from you, Mary said, turning away. Some things are buried for a reason. Seeds of conflict. The days that followed were uneasy. Limo grew popular. Too popular. He offered to build a schoolhouse for the children. He gave Mary rare dried herbs from distant lands. He even asked Nola to join him for a walk, just to talk under the stars, he said with a charming smile. Nola declined. Politely. Then less politely. But she couldn't shake the feeling that the spirit was watching. Protecting her. Waiting. Every time she passed the edge of the hills, the air felt different, warmer, like a hand was reaching out. And deep inside her, something had shifted. The village still sang its songs. The river still ran. But for Nola, nothing was the same. The winds whispered louder now. And they were saying, the truth is rising. The days after her mother's warning passed slowly, like honey down a cold rock. Nola did her chores, fetched herbs, and smiled politely at villagers, but inside, her thoughts were a storm cloud ready to burst. The spirit's words echoed in her head. We are tied by blood. And worse. Danger walks among you now. She didn't trust Limo, his charm was too polished, his timing too perfect, but it was the deeper truth that clawed at her. What was Mary hiding? The carved god. One evening, Mary was called to tend a woman in labor and left in a hurry. Nola stayed behind. Her mother's hut, always filled with the scent of crushed roots and drying herbs, now felt quiet in a different way, like it was holding its breath. Curiosity, or fate, depending on how dramatic you're feeling, led Nola to the storage trunk in the back. She'd seen Mary open it many times, always with care. This time, Nola opened it herself. Under layers of cloth, tucked between faded scrolls and old charms, she found a god, beautifully carved with swirling symbols. It felt warm in her hands, as if it had been waiting for her. She turned it over. A small cap twisted off, and inside was a folded scrap of hide, written on in her mother's handwriting. Her heart sank as she read. Born beneath the twin moon, two cries echoed in the hut. One whole, one marked. One kept, one lost. The villagers would not understand. I chose survival. May the spirits forgive me. Nola's hands trembled. Two cries. Two daughters. One hidden. The spirit has a name. That night, she returned to the hills. This time, she didn't sneak. She walked straight into the mist like she belonged there. And maybe, part of her did. The spirit appeared with no delay, almost as if she'd been waiting, shimmering with the same quiet sadness. I know, Nola said before the spirit could speak. You're my sister. My twin. The spirit nodded slowly. My name is Naya. They stood in silence. Two girls, the same age, same eyes, born together but torn apart by fear. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Nola asked. You wouldn't have believed me. Not yet. You had to find it on your own, Naya said softly. Besides, I've been protecting you. Even when you didn't know I was there. Nola stepped closer. And now? Are you still protecting me? Naya's gaze darkened. Yes. From him. The truth about Limo. Limo. That grinning trader who somehow always said the right thing. Who showed up just when the village began preparing for the moon festival, a time when the sacred hill stones were most vulnerable. Naya explained, he wasn't just a traveler. He was from the Maruga clan, an ancient rival people once banished from the region for trying to steal the stones, said to hold ancestral energy, power, and prophecy. The Maruga believed if they could control the stones, they could rewrite fate. End their exile. Regain lost power. And Limo? He was their smooth-talking weapon. He plans to steal the stones during the festival, Naya warned. He's already tricking the elders. If he gets them, Zandara will fall. Nola's stomach turned. All this time, she'd been caught between what she could see, a helpful trader, a loving mother, and what she felt. Now the veil was gone. The confrontation. Nola stormed home, gourd in hand, hide scrap in her pocket. She didn't wait for Mori to speak. You lied to me, she said, voice trembling. You left her to die. Mori stood by the fire, her face drawn and pale. She didn't deny it. I was scared, she whispered. When you were born, the midwife screamed. You were perfect. But the other, she was different. Marked. Her skin shimmered. Her eyes glowed. The villagers already whispered about me. You gave her away. I hid her, Mori snapped. In the old stone cave, just until I could find help. But when I returned, she was gone. I thought the spirits had taken her. Or worse. You told no one. I carried that guilt every day, Mori said, tears in her voice now. I saw her eyes in yours. Every time I looked at you. Nola stared at her mother, unsure whether to scream or cry. She's alive. She's been saving me. And now you want me to stay away. She's from between worlds, Nola. Not fully spirit, not fully flesh. You don't know what that means. I know what it means to be abandoned, Nola snapped. And I know she didn't abandon me. Running to the hills. That night, Nola ran. She didn't know where she was going, only that she couldn't stay in the place that had buried so many truths. She ran past the elders' homes, past the river, up into the hills, where the mist always waited. Naya met her there. I don't know who to trust anymore, Nola whispered. Naya reached out, not touching, but close enough that Nola felt the warmth through the air. Then trust me. We were born together. We'll stand together. The mist wrapped around them both like a soft cloak. And deep beneath their feet, the hills rumbled gently, as if the ancestors themselves were stirring. The wind on the hills had changed. It no longer whispered, it warned. The sky had gone a strange color, like the hour before thunder. Nola and Naya stood at the entrance of an ancient stone arch carved into the earth, hidden by vines and long-forgotten chants. The air shimmered around it, and even the birds gave the place a respectful distance. This is it, Naya said. The path to the between. Nola glanced at her. Are you sure we are ready? Naya nodded. We were born for this. Literally. With a deep breath, Nola stepped forward, and the world turned inside out. The spirit realm. The ground beneath her feet vanished. 1 second she stood on dirt and grass, the next on glowing mist, suspended in a sky that had no ceiling. Trees floated sideways. Rivers flowed in circles. The air felt thick with memory. This place, Nola gasped, spinning slowly. Naya stood beside her, stronger here. Solid. No longer shimmering like fog, but real. Her hair flowed like water, and her feet left no prints. This is the realm of the ancestors, she said. Where stories never die, they just wait to be remembered. As they walked, ancient symbols lit up beneath their steps. The whispers of old voices filled the air. They came to a circle of stone thrones, cracked, crumbling, and surrounded by glowing fireflies. In the center stood a tree, twisted, blackened, and half dead, yet pulsing with life. The tree is our bloodline, Naya explained. Wounded long ago. The true curse. From the base of the tree rose a spirit elder, not flesh, not shadow, but fire and wind in the shape of a woman. Her voice echoed with 1,000 voices behind it. Daughters of Mori. Children of the broken line. Nola knelt. Naya didn't, she held the spirit's gaze. You seek truth, the spirit said. Then take it whole. And with that, the visions began. They saw the past, their great-grandmother, Kolima, once a guardian of the sacred hill stones, trusted with their power. But she betrayed the role. Out of fear her enemies would destroy her family, Kolima tried to bind the stones to her bloodline alone. She twisted the ancestral magic, breaking the pact with the spirits. The punishment. A generational curse, one child per generation would be born between worlds, neither fully alive nor fully gone. Your mother thought the curse was yours, Naya, the spirit whispered. But it was hers to carry. Tears burned in Nola's eyes. She abandoned you because of her fear, she whispered to her sister. She feared the curse, Naya said softly. But I chose not to become it. The attack on Zondora. Back in the real world, under a bruised and trembling sky, Limo made his move. He'd earned the elders' trust, slipped poison into the guide's tea, and led a group of Maruga loyalists right into the heart of Zondora. Their target, the sacred hill stones, now being prepared for the moon festival. The village square burned. Elders were trapped. And Mori, stubborn and protective to her last breath, stood in Limo's way. He smiled at her like a man stepping on an ant. I told you, he said, drawing a blade of curved bone, your time is over. And then, he struck. The sisters returned. Just as Mori fell to the ground, clutching her side, a wind rose from the hills. A wild, thundering wind that smelled of storm and memory. Nola and Naya emerged from the mist like two halves of the same force. One blazing with fury, the other glowing with spirit fire. Limo froze. What? He stammered, staring at Naya. You were just a tale. And you, Naya said calmly, are about to regret underestimating the bloodline you tried to break. Together, Nola and Naya stepped to the hill stones. They placed their hands on them, side by side. The ground trembled. The sky cracked. And the ancestral spirits rose, swirling around the sisters in a cyclone of light and storm. The storm unleashed. The energy that burst from the stones was not gentle. It screamed through the village, lifting Limo and his men into the air and flinging them away like ash in the wind. The fire died. The wind settled. Zondora was saved. But Naya collapsed. Her glow flickered. Her body blurred. Naya! Nola screamed, catching her. Stay with me. Please. Naya's smile was weak. Too much power. I'm still spirit, Nola. I wasn't meant to hold the stones. But we did it together, Nola whispered, cradling her sister. That has to mean something. The villagers gathered, stunned, faces pale and eyes wide. The truth was now undeniable. The stories were real. The spirit girl was one of their own. And the stones. Protected not by rituals and rules, but by family. Redemption, reunion, and the song of the hills. The morning after the storm felt like the earth itself had exhaled. Fires were out. Limo and his Maruga men were gone, exiled, banished beyond the river where the mist no longer welcomed them. The village was battered, but still standing. The sacred hill stones hummed softly again, like they were resting after a long cry. But all was not well. Naya was fading. She sat beneath the ancient baobab, her body flickering at the edges. One moment whole, the next translucent like mist in the morning sun. Her spirit energy was nearly drained. The realm between life and spirit had one law: you cannot stay where you're not welcomed. You saved them, Nola whispered, sitting beside her. They have to see that. Naya didn't answer. Her gaze was fixed on the sky. But her silence wasn't anger, it was exhaustion. And so, Nola made a decision. The full moon gathering. Once a year, under the brightest full moon, the villagers of Zondora gathered in the great circle. They lit torches, sang old songs, and gave thanks to the ancestors. This year, they gathered with bruises on their arms and bandages on their brows. They had nearly lost everything. And they knew something was coming, something that wasn't in their songs. Nola stepped into the circle. She didn't wear fine cloth. She didn't raise her voice. She simply brought her sister forward, hand in hand. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some villagers stepped back. Others whispered prayers. One elder even dropped his staff. "She is not here to harm," Nola said. "She has been here all along, protecting me. Protecting you." The silence was heavy. Then the murmurs began. "Is this a spirit? A trick? She's not of the living." Naya stood quietly, her glow faint now, her eyes sad but strong. "Look at her," Nola said, her voice cracking. "She is my twin. Our mother gave her up out of fear. A fear passed down from generations, from the betrayal of our ancestors. But she has only given love. Only protected us." Still, the crowd held back. Until one voice broke through. Mari steps forward. It was Mari. Leaning on a carved walking stick, her side still bound with healing cloth, she stepped into the light of the fire. Her face was lined with pain. But her voice had never been stronger. "She is my daughter," Mari said. "I am the one who left her. I am the one who cursed her with abandonment." Tears ran freely down her face now. "I feared the mark on her skin. I feared what the elders would say. So I buried my guilt beneath work and silence. But she came back to save us." Mari turned to Naya. "Forgive me, my child." And slowly, beautifully, she knelt before her. It was like a dam breaking. One by one, the villagers stepped forward. Old Chona. The baker. Even the quiet boy who carved birds from wood. They knelt. They spoke words of welcome. And with every voice, Naya glowed brighter. Until finally, the last to step forward was the chief, holding the village staff. "You are Zondoran," he said. "By blood, by deed, by spirit. We welcome you home." The transformation. The light around Naya flared, not like fire, but like sunrise. Her skin shimmered gold and brown. Her feet touched the earth fully. The flicker at her edges disappeared. She was no longer spirit, nor shadow. She was whole. A ripple of wind moved through the village, gentle and warm. The ancestors, watching from their hidden realm, had felt the shift. The curse was broken. Not with magic. Not with fire. But with acceptance. And truth. A new chapter. In the weeks that followed, peace returned. The sacred stones were repaired, now protected by not just rituals, but living guardians, Nola and Naya. They taught the children to honor the hills, to respect the stories, not as distant myths, but living echoes of choices made long ago. Mari walked beside them, older now, slower, but at peace. And every full moon, the village would still gather. They would sing a new song, the song of the hills, written not in words, but in actions. That fear divides. But love rebuilds. That blood matters. But what we choose matters more. That no spirit is too far gone to come home. Herb sparkles the end.